Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Good morning for those of you on the West Coast. My name is Michelle LaRusso. I am with Newton. Happy New Year to all of you. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. And thank you for attending Prospects to Funded. We want to talk a little bit about how to convert more leads, hopefully how to close more deals, and how Velocity has a few built-in tips and tricks and features that you may or may not already be using. Just to give you a couple of ideas on other ways that you may or may not want to think about, or processes you might want to add into your daily schedule, that once you set them up, you don't have to think about them ever again, and they will help you to deliver more wow factors to your clients. So just before we dig in, everybody on the line is on mute, and that is only to keep down the background noise. I do highly encourage you to ask me all your questions. Throw in any comments, raise your hand if you don't want to type it out. I will probably save the questions to the end, but sometimes they make sense for the part that we are looking at in that moment. So please feel free to jump in and let me know what you think. Okay, so the whole purpose for this webinar was because we kept hearing from people that the bank was undercutting and stealing clients away, or that we were getting clients pre-approved and sending their deals to the bank, and then those customers would go off shopping, and we would either have to really make a concerted effort to stay in touch with that customer, or they would simply disappear. They would get your rate, they would shop it around, and they would be gone forever. So I want to talk about a few different ways that we can hopefully get more of those leads to turn into something. So a lead turning into a deal. And number two, how to make sure that your pre-approvals you're staying in touch with your pre-approved people, that you're letting them know before the rate expires, that you are giving them a bit of a wow at every step of the way. And hopefully that means you're going to close more deals and look more like these happy brokers rather than the miserable broker on the last slide. So the first thing we're going to talk about is actually the leads. Like the definition, the Velocity definition of a lead is someone who is a potential new client. So someone who has not yet actually applied for a mortgage with you. That is what we consider to be a lead. I know that everyone has slightly different definitions. Sometimes a lead is considered, someone who started an application, but you haven't really had a chance to talk to them yet. When we talk about leads in Velocity, we are talking about someone who is hopefully going to give you a new application, but has not yet filled out the online app or given you the information to create a new application. So what we want to do with our leads is we want to start tracking them in Velocity, putting those potential new clients in as a lead. We want to talk about how to set up a leads campaign. The leads campaign will allow you to set it and forget it. And then every time you put a lead in, that person is getting your customized marketing that explains whatever you want them to know. So 4 different drip marketing pieces are part of the automatic leads campaign. And we also want to use a workflow reminder to reach out personally. Now, my general rule of thumb for all of these stages is going to seem a little bit repetitive because it always involves setting up a campaign and using a workflow. But I want you to sort of think about what that campaign is going to say and what that workflow is going to do, and make that really, really your own. So you don't want to be doing the exact same thing that all the brokers in town are doing. You don't want to have the exact same information that everybody else is providing to your client. You want to think about what sets me apart? Like, what makes me different from the other brokers? What is my niche, or what is my style? What is my communication? Like, you want to have goals like that, which you probably already have those things. You probably already have done your planning for 2020, and you probably have your goals in, and you know how many leads you want to get in every week and how many phone calls that means you have to make every day. So what I'm going to show you, like I said, I will repeat it over and over again: campaign and workflow, campaign and workflow. But what does the campaign say? That's all about your own branding. What does the workflow do? That is all about your own ways to get creative and think about people. So let me show you what I mean just from this lead stage of the game. Okay, so the lead stage of the game, someone who you met, someone who you hope is going to become a potential client. You want to make sure that that person is in Velocity. So why don't I switch over to Velocity for a second? And I hope you can still see my screen. Sorry, while I'll just have a quick peek there. Yep, everything looks to be in order. So what you want to do to add a lead into Velocity is, hopefully you already know this because you've already attended basic training, is add lead, and you add your lead in here, and you put your lead's first name and last name in there. And if you have their date of birth, great. You don't have to. You put in their email address. You want them to be opted in for Tassel. I would probably even put in a note in here that says, okay, I met her at piano recital, or whatever it is, to help you remember who this person is. And I really like this idea of setting a follow-up date as well. So you want to set a follow-up date with her and say, okay, I'm going to reach out to you February the 5th when you told me you're back from vacation, and I'm going to save. So putting it in, super easy. From now on, every time you collect somebody's business card, you're just going to add that person into the database by clicking add lead, and I forgot to put that the lead belongs to me. This only shows up for me, by the way, because I am set up as an assistant to Anna and Caro and Carl. So easy to put them in. That's wonderful. Now, what happens to your leads if you start putting them into Velocity? Well, that depends on what kind of setup you want to do in your CRM and in your workflows. So I have all my leads in here. If I don't do anything at all, then I have to remember to follow up with Michelle, and to follow up with Sanity, and to follow up with Marguerite, and to follow up with Matthew. And I have to put a calendar item in to follow up. And I have to remember, what do I want to say to this person? What stage am I at? How many conversations have I had? So this is where I like using the automatic CRM campaign. So I like going into the CRM campaign, and I like having a look at the one that we have set up for you for the leads campaign. But before I turn it on, I like to customize it. So the campaign and the templates, they really, really work together. I think I have a few samples that I could show you right in here. So the lead, when I enter a lead into Velocity and I turn on the leads campaign, they start getting whatever kind of messaging makes sense for your own branding, right? So in my case, in my pretend mortgage broker, I have a message here that says, your first step is getting pre-approved. And this is why I'm the best mortgage broker who works in Toronto. And over here, I have, 3 days later, I send another message that says, hey, I really want to make sure that we are holding a rate for you, and that you can shop with confidence, knowing that your rate, if rates go up, we've got you locked in for the next 120 days. And then, maybe 20 days later. So I've got like 1, 2, 3 little pieces of drip marketing that go to this person. I would encourage you to add your own custom headers to these so that it has the same look and feel across all the messaging that you send. I would encourage you to look at the text contained within all of our templates and have your own, maybe there's something in there that you that you have, like a little recipe or a little joke, or I'm not a marketing person, so I'm just throwing ideas out there that I've seen people use before. But I really think that as long as you are personalizing these and giving them your own look and your own feel, that your lead is going to feel like, okay, this Michelle person, she met me, she's following up with me on a pretty regular basis. I'm getting these emails, not too often, I hope, maybe once a week. She's sending me something and she's giving me the option to unsubscribe if I don't like it. And so that is the benefit of turning on the automatic leads campaign. So let's go back to Velocity. So you put your lead in, and you turn on your leads campaign. Sorry, give me just a moment here. And then once you have done that, I'm just going to slide this over and up. Once you have put your lead in, you've turned on your lead campaign, that person is going to start automatically getting drip marketing from you. But my favorite piece, I do like to turn on the CRM campaign for all of these stages. I have a CRM campaign which is geared towards specifically my people who are pre-approved. So they're out shopping right now. So I like to turn that one on as well. I have one for my real deals. Hey, your deal has been submitted. We hope to have an answer for you. I have another one for my approved customers. I have automatic CRM campaigns turned on for all of these. And I like to pretend that I have customized all of them. They have my marketing strategy behind all of them. But my favorite piece is to also make a workflow as well. So what do I mean by a workflow? So a workflow is something that pops up and reminds me, or reminds my partner, or reminds my assistant to do something. So for example, in the lead category, I send, one example, one of my brokers, he sends his leads a $5 Starbucks card. Every time he gets a lead, a properly qualified lead, maybe he has a referral source that he works with really, really well. So he has a reminder to send a Starbucks card 2 days later. So the CRM campaign kicks in, it's sending them email messaging, and 2 days later, a message pops in to my calendar and says, hey, send this guy a Starbucks card. So you can make a workflow be anything at all, right? So this is just one that I just made up completely. When you click add workflow, you could make your workflow be anything at all. So I'm putting this particular workflow in the lead category. You don't have to have different stages if you don't want them. You know, the lead could be double check if she got your email, right? So it could just be something as simple as that. So double check if CRM email reached her. Maybe if she's getting blocked, reached lead, because maybe they're blocking, maybe they have super high sensitivities on all of their emails. So the trigger can be the lead is entered plus 1 day, the lead is entered plus 3 days, you know, the lead is entered 25 days later, you do something, you do a quick check-in, you do a phone call check-in, whatever it happens to be, you could set it up as a workflow item. Let me show you how workflow items come in to your day-to-day. So let's pretend that I just logged in this morning, just got back from the holiday vacation, January 2nd. Oh, I have nothing in my calendar for today. But if I did enter leads over the last few days, or my assistant was putting in leads for me, then I would have a little item that pops up that says, reach out to your lead and A, send them a Starbucks card, or B, you know, phone them and ask them if they're getting your emails. All of these little items, they pop into your calendar and they allow you to do the follow-up. Either it pops up on the right day and it gives you the client's contact information, and it gives you, you know, where you met them, and if you set it up as, you know, order an edible arrangement, or send them a Starbucks card, or whatever it is, it goes into your calendar, or it goes into the calendar of the person that you are working with. So let's see another example. So just to recap the leads, you turn on the lead campaign. If you want to see what the campaign looks like, I did not show you that part yet. So I'm going to show you just very quickly what it looks like. If you want to actually turn yours on, we could go through them in more detail for those people who are interested. You go into Me and CRM campaigns, and then you find the one called Lead, because we do have one ready for you, and you can see if you like it or not. And then when you click Actions and Edit/View, it will give you an idea of what our campaign looks like out of the box if you don't decide to customize anything at all. So this is what it looks like. So it's called Converting Leads. The trigger is that a lead has been entered plus 1 day. So whenever I enter a lead, the next day this lead campaign will kick in. And it starts off by sending this template. This is the name of the template. This is what the template actually looks like. Hi, instead of just saying, trust me, you know, this is why you should work with me. So it sends out this piece 1 day later. And then in step 2, it shows you any additional drip marketing that will continue to go out. So 3 days later, I send them another note. 7 days later, I send them another email. 20 days later. So this particular campaign has 4 different steps in it. If you don't like any of these steps, you can simply remove them. So you'd be able to go edit and delete. If you want to add an extra step in, you certainly can. And if you want to change any of these templates, you just have to know what the name of the template is, and they're all listed here. And you would go over to the CRM templates, and that's where you can edit the image, the text, anything at all gets edited in there. So any questions on what the CRM does versus what the workflow item does? So the easiest way I can say it is you set it and you forget it. CRM campaign, you set it up, and then you know that from now on, anytime a lead gets entered, these 4 emails will go to this lead until such time as they become a customer, or because they've decided to call you and say, okay, let's do this, let's get pre-approved, or because or until the 4 pieces run out, or they unsubscribe. That's the other way that a CRM campaign stops. And then the second piece is that in my calendar, I know that always 2 days later, I have a little reminder popping up and saying, follow up with Jack. Make sure he got his the email, or send him his Starbucks card, or whatever it is that you would normally do to try to entice your customers. Okay, so let's do the next step in this process. So your lead becomes a deal. So your lead says, okay, let's do this. Let's see how much you can get me qualified for. Let's see what kind of rate you can get for me. So the first thing is you want the CRM campaign to stop. And the way that you do that is you change your lead to a contact. I want to show you how easy that is because it's a super, super important piece of this puzzle. So let's go into any one of our leads. So let's say that Sanity here has said, okay, let's go ahead and get and see what happens. So the key is change this lead status to a contact. This person is no longer a lead. She is now officially a bona fide customer. She is a bona fide contact for me. And that is the key piece. So change your status to a contact. And what that will do is it will make sure that your lead campaign stops going. You're not going to keep saying, hey, I really want to get you approved or whatever is the rest of your campaign says. That is the key. Change the lead to a contact. Number two, have your customers apply online. You don't want to have to fill out every single application from scratch. So are you using the online application? That is another big tip that you want to make sure that your clients are using the online application. And I'm going to just open the floor to any questions. Are you currently using the online application for Velocity? And do you have the Apply Now link in your email signature? So for those of you who don't know, under Me and Profile, that is where your online application is, your online link to our application goes. You have the option to upload your own banner if you like, that goes across. So mine says Velocity across the top, but of course you want yours to have your own branding. But this is your personal URL. This is your code. This is where you want to have all of your Apply Now buttons linked to. So you always want to make sure that anytime your client clicks Apply Now, it's going straight to the Velocity online application, the client journey we call it, which is a little bit nicer than the old-fashioned form. And every time your client fills out their own application, they're pre-filling the app for you right in Velocity. So that's your time-saving tip. If you don't have an email signature set up where your Apply Now is popping up automatically, then I really encourage you to stick around at the very end and make sure that your Apply Now link is right in your email signature. All right. So that is our success. So the lead became a deal. You change it to a contact if you're doing the application from scratch, or you have your clients apply online, and then your deal becomes a real deal. Now, sometimes your deal will go straight to a real deal, and other times it will be what we consider to be a pre-approval. And the pre-approvals are another area where customers tend to disappear if you don't follow up with them. You've taken all this time to get someone pre-approved. You even got your underwriter to check credit and issue a rate hold, and then the customer disappears. So I don't want those customers to disappear. So use, again, it's repetitive, use the CRM campaign to stay in touch while they're shopping. Hey, while you're out shopping, if you see anything slightly out of the budget, make sure you call me. I can answer all your questions for you. And also set up a workflow reminder so that you can personally reach out and touch that person. And I'll add one more potential layer in there, which is if you have the mobile app, the Velocity mobile app on your phone, you always have every single client's phone number with you without having to actually add them into your address book. So let's say I was out and about and I saw the book that I talked to this client about and I wanted to pick up a copy for him, or I wanted to call him and ask him something. I don't have to call the office or open up my laptop. I can just pull up the mobile app and I can call the customer with their phone numbers. Will all be at my fingertips. So you can just kind of reach out and call people or text them as you're going about your day as an extra little step. That could even be one of your workflow reminders is, hey, send a quick text message or a quick phone call to say, how is it going? So let me show you what I mean, the slight difference between the CRM campaign. Sorry, I got too many things open at the same time now. There we are. Okay, so the pre-approval campaign is a little bit different, but it still has 4 different steps. And again, you can add more steps or take some steps away, but I really like this pre-approval one because I used to have a giant file cabinet that's full when I worked for a mortgage broker of all the people I had to follow up with to let them know that their rates were going to expire soon. Do you want to extend it? What do you want to do? Have you found somebody? Like, I didn't want people to find somebody else, right? So use these two pieces to try to keep those pre-approvals interested in you. So number one, as soon as a pre-approval has the status changed to approved, that's the trigger for this campaign to start up, to kick in. So number one, one sample is, hey, your mortgage amount is approved and the rate will be held for you until, and it puts the closing date in there or the rate hold date in there, right in the email. I've seen some people will actually put in the amount. Your mortgage lender has agreed that you will be able to qualify for 500,000, and then maybe a little disclaimer in there, you know, assuming that your income verifies, blah, blah, blah. So that's one example. And then, you know, 10 days later, hey, while you're out shopping, make sure you call me and let me know if there's anything that I could do for you. A little warning that says your rate is expiring in 60 days. Another little warning that says your rate is expiring in 30 days. And again, this is all up to you, whatever you want these messages to say. It is completely customizable before you turn the campaign on. So this is the set it and forget it piece. And then I really want to make sure that I also do a workflow. So the workflow is going to be, an example of a pre-approval workflow would be get my assistant to make a quick phone call and ask how the shopping is going along, or, you know, send them a little newsletter about what's expected to happen in the area, or it could just be something like send them an edible arrangement with a cute little note attached. So whatever, you know, it doesn't have to be something you're spending money on, but it just has to have a personal touch. So to set up anything in the pre-approval category, you would say add workflow. You would say, okay, this goes in the pre-approval category. This is my pre-approved follow-up. How's it going? How's the house hunting coming along, right? So you can have the, you know, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. How's the house hunting going? You could have a prepackaged email that already has all the text filled out. You can also put graphics in here, images in here. The trigger is that the deal is approved. The deal is pre-approved. And then it's, you know, only for my pre-approvals. And my pre-approval has been approved 5 days later, right? So that's another example. And you could say, assign this to myself, or assign this to my assistant, or assign this to Jody, who does all of the pre-approval follow-up. So that's just another example of how you can, I've seen people who always follow up with the referral source and always let the realtor know if a deal has been received, or let the realtor know that a deal has been submitted, or let a realtor know that a deal has been declined. So these are all things that you could use in your day-to-day. And it's, like I said, it's all about how you want to wow your customer. Velocity will remind you when it's time to do it. It will do it for you. Other examples, throughout the Real Deal process, you can keep sending real-time updates. So using the CRM campaign and the workflows, you could send them a note that says, your deal is submitted, or you could have a little reminder that the assistant calls and says, I have your approval and your broker will be calling you to discuss it this afternoon. Or, you know, another example, you have 20 days left before the mortgage funds. Here are the 5 things you have to remember. Those are all things that I can, if I had to make one recommendation for you as you're doing your planning, your planning for 2020, it's write down in all of these stages of the game. It's like, I'll just go back to give you the visual here, the dashboard. In every stage of the application process, if you had the perfect, the world going on, like the perfect balance of what you need, how many steps would you want for your leads? How many steps would you want for you to be reaching out and talking to your pre-approval clients? Maybe there's only 2 times that you actually pick up the phone and talk to these people, but maybe when it's your real deal, you're definitely reaching out to the realtor, or you're definitely calling the customer and asking if they have questions, and you're not depending on email quite as much for these real deal guys, because you don't want to lose them. You want to get your real deal over to the waiting to close category as fast as possible. And I like some of the ideas that I've been getting from my brokers on how they are making sure that more of these approved deals make it to the file complete, to the waiting to close category. And the way that they're doing that is they are working with their assistants, they are working with their teams, they are automating quite a few steps in the process, and they are making sure there's still a personal touch in there. They're giving their clients the option to upload documents using Client Portal. If you haven't seen our Client Portal seminar yet, I really recommend that you watch that one, or at least watch the YouTube video about Client Portal. That's another way that you're going to wow your customers, by saying, hey, I have this cool tool. You can just take a picture of all your documents and they will arrive in my deal immediately. And I can tell you right away if that pay stub is going to be sufficient, or I can tell you right away that that job letter is going to need to have an amendment done by your HR before I send it off to the lender. So don't feel limited. Like I said, I'm a broken record. It's mostly the same tips that I have for each of the stages, but what happens in each of these stages, that is 100% up to you. Like, I have seen items in calendars that are really out there. Like, I've seen people who will send a magazine earlier than the submission category. I've seen people who will call their clients to give them, some financial advice because they remembered what happened. Whatever your differentiating factor is, that's what I want you to focus on. And if you need help figuring out how do I automate that, or how do I make that pop up as one of my reminders to call people or to order the edible arrangement or whatever it is that I'm doing, then please feel free to let me know. You can reach me. You can reach any of our help desk and our trainers. So we are newton.ca. In case you haven't been to our main webpage, there is a contact link right there. And I encourage you to reach out to a trainer near you. We can help you set these up. We can answer all of your questions. And there's also this really handy training page. If you haven't been there yet, jump aboard the Velocity train and you can learn more about Client Portal, e-signatures, easy accounts. There's lots of different ways that you can really impress your clients. We didn't even really talk about that piece, right? So you could, another potential wow factor for your client is you can have them e-sign their documents. So they don't actually have to print anything off. And, when I work on being paperless. So this is all stuff. And if you click on any of these links on our training page, they're usually get a little bit of a what is it all about, with a quick 2-minute video on all of these as well. So I hope that was helpful. If anyone has any questions, please stick around after I dismiss everyone else, and I can take you off mute and I can answer all your questions. Otherwise, that's all I have. And I really appreciate you being here today. I hope January is a good one. I hope 2020 finds you lots of success. And I really, really appreciate you being a Velocity user, and I hope that you are enjoying it. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.